WhitePotatoYT, and today, as requested by Unchartered Gaming, I have prepared a video about the shortcuts, tips and tricks I have in every single Cars to the video game map. I hope you learned something new today, and I hope you become better in Cars to the video game. I hope you enjoy. First, Pipeline Sprint. For some turbo, you can jump right to the platform on the right where there are a few turbo cans. So for the first actual shortcut on Pipeline Sprint, right on the first turn, keep on the inside near the cargo carriers to gain a tiny bit of time. You can go to the platform on the right after the third turn, through the third needle holes for some turbo. To gain some extra turbo, go on the giant cargo box after the ramp to collect turbo energy from the cans. Next, Oil Rig Run. The first shortcut is right as you start the race. Right before you jump off the platform, you start the race on, position yourself on the right. Jump off the platform and you should be on another platform where you can jump up, go around, skipping the U-turn on the track. For some extra turbo, go on the third denial platform on the right just like you did in Pipeline Sprint. Also like Pipeline Sprint, jump off the ramp towards the huge cargo box with turbo cans on it to collect some extra turbo. Wow, Oil Rig Run is very similar to Pipeline Sprint. Just a warning, near the cargo box I just told you guys about, there are some spotlights going across the track. Try your best to avoid them because the big boat from the beginning of Cars 2 is on the lookout for intruders. And we are all considered intruders, so make sure they don't see you, otherwise they will shoot you. Ginza Sprint. The first shortcut in Ginza Sprint is on the left side of the first turn. If you jump over the white and blue stripe bar, you gain some turbo, maybe pass the car, and even if you're in battle race mode, you can get a weapon before anyone else can. After the turn with the drift strips, if you look on the left, you should see a ramp. Drive on the ramp and jump onto the second level of the giant platform in front of you, and there is loads of turbo on it. Or, you can jump from the ground onto the first level.
Oil slick acquired.
After you get out of the previous shortcut, you merge onto the road, and if you go straight, you'll be taken to a bridge. This isn't much of a shortcut, but you can get loads of turbo from it. But be cautious, as on the second jump, you need turbo to be able to make it, or you will hit the wall and fall. Right after that, turn left into a field of cops. This seems like a very bad idea, but it is an extremely helpful shortcut. Don't bump into a cop though, as you will be teleported back onto the track. Here's a top tip to make it through this field of cops. Jump. On the final turn, there is an opportunity for some more turbo. If you go straight to the bombs, but then avoid them, you'll be taken to some cans of turbo. But beware, because, well, obviously there are bombs which could delay you from finishing the race by a lot. Vista Run. For the first shortcut, there are many ways to go. I believe that if you go right at the fork and then keep left at the second fork, it is faster. I'm not 100% sure, but it seems to me that that route is faster than all the others. After the long turn with the drift strips, there is a U-turn where there is also a shortcut. There's two holes in the wall, and you can jump right through it. It is quite hard to master as you have to have the right turning angle, right speed, and if you don't turn properly you hit the wall. After the huge jump at the fork, keep right, go up the bridge and jump off the side of the bridge because, once again, I believe it is the fastest way. Right before the final stretch, you have to make it through the field of cargo containers as they rise and slam the ground with quite a big chance you could get crushed. Try to avoid it because if you get crushed, you have to respawn, which wastes a whole lot of time and many cars could pass you. Imperial Tour. After the area of the drift strips in Imperial Tour, there is a fork at the dirt track. Keep right and hit the bell because I believe it is faster and the bell does make an awesome sound and you can get some turbo from it. Be cautious at the cargo carrier area just like Vista Run because you don't want to get crushed. As soon as you get to a new lap, jump through the barriers, break the barriers and follow the ramp up to the platform because you can get turbo there and I think it is faster. Terminal Sprint. The first shortcut is on the first turn. Turn right towards the grass and jump into the glass. And out onto the road because it's definitely faster than going under the tunnel. Right after that, go to the tunnel with the threaded needle holes on the right. It is much faster than the other route. Leads you out with a ramp, jump over it, and go onto the plane that's parked with the turbo cans. Runway Tour. On the first turn, keep right because there are a few thread the needle holes where you can gain some extra turbo. After the runway, there are two ways to go. Right that takes you underground, or left that takes you around. Right before the left turn, there is a ramp. If you go on that ramp, it takes you up to the roof of the tunnel and it is a major advantage. Near the final stretch, go through the plane as I believe it is faster and there are 4 turbo cans inside the plane. On the last turn, jump into the platform as it shows on screen right now, as it is a shortcut. Instead of going around it and to the finish line, it takes you right on the platform and right towards the finish line. Beware for bumps though, as there are a few on top of the platform. Radiator Sprint. Halfway through the tunnel, on the right side, there is a barrier. Drive into it and it will break. Inside it are some turbo cans and bombs. Yes, bombs. Be careful. The next one is the weirdest one ever. After the second tunnel, you jump over this ramp to skip the U-turn. Beware though, after you land, slam on the brakes because there is no barrier and you can drown in the oceans of Italy. The next one is where you break through the glass into the casino, which is a shortcut, but it leads you right into another shortcut. You jump off the docks into a boat thing and back onto the land, skipping the extremely long turn. Mountain Run. Now Mountain Run is the exact same as Harbour Sprint but backwards, so all of the shortcuts are the same, like the ramp and the barrier of the bombs. Casino Tour. Now Casino Tour has many shortcuts. The first shortcut is right after the start. On the first turn you jump and break the barriers, but once again this leads you right into another shortcut. If you continue to go straight after exiting the previous shortcut, it takes you to a mini island right in front of you. You can collect some turbo cans and jump right back onto land. The next one is right after the bridge. You turn left onto the ramp and jump over the bombs. Halfway through the long tunnel, you can go through that shortcut, through the barriers and avoid the bombs leading into the sandy part of the track, just like in the Harbour Sprint track and the Mountain Run track. The next one is after you jump off the sandy part of the track. You turn left into the first part of the shortcut leading to a ramp. Jump over the ramp and land on the second part of the shortcut, transferring you back onto the road. But be careful for that one bomb on the left side of the track, because if you hit it, you fall back onto the track, not onto the second part of the shortcut, and you'll lose loads of time. The fifth one is the huge ramp like in the other tracks. I've explained about it already, so I'm just gonna skip this one. After that, you go through the glass, into the casino, and over the water park. I've showed you already, so I'm gonna skip this one too. But that was the last shortcut. Buckingham Sprint. The first one is near the water. You go into the wood part, and you go through the threaded needles, up the ramp, and back onto the track. But beware about the bombs, because there are many. Once you get into one, you can't control the car and might fall into water. After the big drift part with the drift strips and the buses, you can jump over the plants right to the road. Also, you can go onto this hill of grass, jump over the side of the bridge and onto the bridge. Now the next one is kind of complicated and it's one I just discovered a month ago. It's halfway past the bridge. You can jump over the bridge onto the right side and you land on this weird mini ring part thing and you jump onto the road again. But beware because you need turbo to be able to get to land. Without turbo you won't make it to land, you might hit the wall and drown in the seas of England this time. The final one is right after the bridge. You break through the gates to where the Queen is. No, really, it is where the Queen is. The next map is Hyde Tour. The first shortcut in Hyde Tour is completely straight off from where you started. Instead of going around the fountains, go onto the ramp, jump off it, and try not to land in the water. Right after this, you jump off the mini hill onto the wall platform thing. You drift around it and jump over the track, cutting across the whole track by going over the water on the bridge. But you usually need boosts to jump the bridge. And make sure to avoid the bombs because they slow you down, giving you almost no chance of getting to the bridge. The worst thing is, if you fall, it is really hard to turn back onto the track. It makes a time-saving method turn to chaos. Once you get over the bridge, instead of going around the hills with flowers like the AIs do, drive right over them. You could even use them as a ramp to jump and do some air tricks with. This alternative route is right after the train. You turn right, jump right over the Queen's bushes instead of going around them, but then this leads you straight to another shortcut. Instead of going around the apartment, travel right through the alleyway as it is a huge shortcut. After that, you come to the buses. Do the same shortcut of jumping over the flower bed just like in Buckingham Sprint. After jumping the ramp, you can go over the grass hill on the right, where in front of you there's that red carpet place just like in Buckingham Sprint. The final shortcut in Hyde Tour is where you go onto the bridge. This is the great shortcut if you're about to lose a race, because if you go here, you can most definitely win. Radiator Sprint. The first shortcut in the first Radiator Sprint track is right at the start. Keep right, passing through the V8 cafe, and go through that mini road where Mater is watching the race, encouraging everyone. The next shortcut is at Willie's Butte. Instead of going on the giant wall with the drift strips, you cut across on the inside, but beware, because if you don't use turbo, you'll be slowed down a lot. The last shortcut is right after the maze of thread the needles and bombs. Instead of following the drift arrows, you go around the other side of Sally's Cozy Cone Motel. Beware of the bombs though. Canyon Run. The first shortcut in Canyon Run, believe it or not, is not the tunnel. Either way you go, around or through the tunnel, I don't believe that you gain or lose any time. The first one is at the first turn. Instead of going on the outside with the risk of falling into the endless void, you go on the inside of the rock and collect some turbo cans on the way. There's another turn a tiny bit later where you do the same thing. This one is to get as much turbo as you can. First you jump onto the platform on the left, collect the turbo cans there, and jump onto those broken train tracks across to the other platform, collect the turbo there, and continue the race. The next one is at Willie's Butte again. Don't throw the drift strips and go on the inside as an alternative method just like the previous map. This last one is near the tractors. Instead of making Frank angry, go through the tractor field. It is quite good fun too. If you bump into one, it'll tip over just like in Cars 1. Timberline Sprint. The first shortcut of the last map is right as you start. Move towards your left as you jump off the huge platform that you start on. And go left at the first fork, and at the second one go left again. It will lead you to the fastest way to go. You should arrive super high up at a gap between the rocks where you need to jump and jump again onto the ramp that gradually delivers you to the ground, greeting you with 2 turbo cans. The next one is the same as Canyon Run with the tractors and Frank, which I have already explained. I'm going to skip this one. After the tractor field, the road takes you left, then there's a fork. Keep right and collect the turbo cans there. Merge back onto the road when there is another fork. On your right there should be a barrier. Jump into it and follow that road. It helps you a whole lot because if you take another road it's extremely hard to turn into the tunnel. But with this shortcut you can easily turn into the tunnel. Alright guys, that was my video about the shortcuts in Cars 2 the video game. I might have forgotten a few, so you can leave a comment as that would be much appreciated. I hope you enjoyed this video and it helps you to be better in Cars 2 the video game. Please share this with your friends so that they could be better at Cars 2 the video game. See you at my next video. WhitePotatoYT out.